Welcome back to my kitchen, Gigi's Kitchen, where we get to learn all things about cooking. And today we're getting ready for New Year's. So of course we have to have bean soup. But most importantly with the bean soup, we have to have black-eyed peas in our bean soup so that we can bring the luck into the new year. So that's what we're gonna do. So let's get ready to cook. I have a big ham here, a ham shank. It's not spiral cut. It is the whole thing with the shank and the bone, all in it. This is gonna go into the oven and it's gonna cook real slow for about 3 hours. And then when I take it out, it's going to pull apart and then it can be added to the soup or not, however you want to do it. So this will go into this pot and covered with foil. From there it goes into the 350 oven and gets started. Now since my beans have soaked overnight, I won't need to cook them all day, but I am going to cook them on the stovetop. So they're going to cook for about 2 hours. So I'm going to put this on. I'm going to give it an hour or so and then I'm going to put my beans on. So let's get to it. This is going into a very deep pot because I really want to braise it in its own juices. And I'm going to seal this and it's going to fill up with all the juice from the ham. So this goes on. And sealed tightly all the way around. And we will not take this foil off because once you crack foil a second time, it never re-sticks like it did the first time. You can never get a good seal on it. So this foil will not come off of here for 3 hours. Seal it all. Oops, I just tore it. Dang. Well, I gotta get another piece of foil because that will work. So here's our second piece of foil. And I'm going to put it with the shiny side down. And then I'm going to go back around again. This time I'll try to be a little more gentle and not tear my foil. There we go. All the way around. All the way around. Good and sealed. I'm going to put a crease down in here. Run my thumb all along the edge just to even make sure it's more sealed. And it is ready for the oven. Now we're ready to talk about our bean soup. So this is what we have. We have a mix of beans and you buy them in a bag like this. And on the label it says on there 15 beans or 15 different beans or something. Anyway, it's a mix of different beans. It's already together in the bag. You can get it. Read the instructions on the back. You can soak it overnight or you can soak it for 4 to 6 hours, whatever time you have. But usually if you soak it overnight, they won't take more than about 2 hours to finish cooking all the way through. But as you can see, they're very pretty. They have everything in here. Kidney beans, white kidney beans, navy beans, great northern beans, lentils, green and yellow. They've got black beans in here. The only thing that's not in this 15 bean mix is my black-eyed peas. So I had to go back and add in my black-eyed peas, which now I have a 16 bean mix. So I added a half a pound of black-eyed peas, dried black-eyed peas to the mix. So they're in there and ready to go. These have soaked. I rinsed them, soaked them, drained them. So they're ready to go. What's going to go in there is our standard soup mix, which is our mirepoix, which we have our celery. I have 2 stalks of celery, 2 small carrots, and these are diced in small chunks, a small yellow onion diced into about the same size, so I have everything diced up the same. I have 2 large carrots that I've diced, 2 dry bay leaves, 1 ham hock, and 3 little golden potatoes. Now I know we're having beans and putting potatoes in my bean soup. I like potatoes in my soup. I like potatoes in just about everything. But I'm going to cut these small, and then I'm going to put them in there, and they'll almost break down and help the juice and build a really nice creamy gravy to my bean soup. So the ham hock will come out after it's all cooked down, and it'll be taken apart and the meaty part put back in. Now we do have the ham on the side that goes with it, and we'll also be serving cornbread with it. So I'm going to get to the stove so we can start sauteing this up. I've already rendered down 3 bacon strips in my pan so I could have the bacon fat to saute this in. So I'm going to adjust the camera and I'll be right back. As you can see, I have put in 3 little strips of bacon, and I have cooked this really on very low temperature and just allowed the fat to render out of the bacon. So you can see it down in there, just enough fat to cover the bottom. Now I can take these out, but I think I'm just gonna leave them in. It doesn't hurt anything. I like the smokiness of the bacon. Everybody loves bacon with their beans. It'll be a good thing. So we're just gonna leave that in, and we're gonna add in our mirepoix, and we're gonna let it saute up in the bacon fat, just like we always do. And there is my garlic, my celery, my carrot, my onion. It's all in there. We're going to give it a good stir. Now the bacon is salty. But I'm going to add a little more salt anyway. Beans can handle a little bit of salt. I'm going to put in my fresh ground black pepper. And I'm going to put a good layer of that in till it's all coated well. And you can add cayenne and chili flakes if you want. And you can do this in the Instapot. It would be the same thing. I'll put the Instapot recipe in the bottom. Saute up your veggies just like we're doing, and then put it on pressure cook for about an hour and 20 minutes. I have a good tablespoon of no salt seasoning, the vegetable blend, garden variety blend, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to stir that in, and I'm just going to let those go for a minute. While I'm doing that, I'm going to cut up my little potatoes. My flame is set to about a medium high. And I'm not worried about these breaking down. That's kind of basically what I want them to do to help create a creamy base to my soup. So, and I only have 3 of them. You could add more. You can add some at the very end if you actually want the potato to be firmer. But the beans will turn creamy too. But like as we did with the red beans recipe, we actually smashed some of those. I won't be smashing these. And this will have a lot of broth to it. So it's more of a soup than just beans with a little gravy on it. So that's looking pretty good right there. Go ahead and throw in my potatoes, a couple bay leaves. I'm going to get my beans and scoop them all in. And I can't remember what size bag this is, but I'm thinking 1 pound of beans. You can see it has the big lima beans in it. It has the little lentils, the black beans, everything but my black eyed peas, so I had to add those separate. And I just added a half a pound. Okay, so get it all in there. Gonna put in my ham hock, and now I'm gonna add as much stock as I possibly can, and it'll be hopefully 6 to 8 cups of chicken stock. We want them well covered. There we go. Now I can, as usual, they're going to expand, and I'm probably going to have to add more water to this because I don't think that's really enough. I really wanted it to be a lot more water in there. So I'm going to add a couple more cups of water. I don't want it to boil over, but remember, I want this to be more of a soup than just a pot of beans. There we go. That looks better. So now, as we do with most of our soups, we're going to bring this to a roaring boil, and once it gets to a boil, I'll turn it back, let it be on a high simmer for a couple minutes, and then turn it to a low simmer until they are cooked through and the stock has reduced. So there we go. I'm going to bring it up to a boil, and then we'll let it simmer on, and I'll be back in just a little while. So as you can see, we've got a good boil going. I'm turned the flame down, and it's on low now, and now we're just going to let this simmer. And I'm going to put the lid on so I have a little bit of a vent, and we're just going to allow it to go to a low simmer and continue to simmer until they're tender, which I hope will be in about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Our ham is in the oven and it's cooking away, and so hopefully it'll come out in about 2 hours as well. So I'll see you then. We've been cooking now for about 1 hour and 30 minutes on our beans. Our ham has been in the oven almost 2.5 hours, and I took the ham hock out, and we're going to come over here and I'm going to cut it up so that I can take the big chunks. See, as you see, all the parts have rendered down, and as you pull it, it just comes apart. And so I'm going to leave these in some big chunks, and then I'm going to, some people like the fat part, but I'm going to take it off. If you want to add it back in, you're more than welcome to do so. And I'm just going to pull this all apart. It's very hot, so you have to be really careful. And then I'm going to put it all back in there. There's the big bone. This is the big fat part that helped cream the bean juice up. And pull that piece out. Look how tender that is. I hope my hand's not in the way of the camera. Here we go. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. I'm going to cut them into some bite-sized chunks. And then there we go. I think I got it all off. There's a little piece got left behind. And then this, all of this goes back in the pot. And there we go. Slide it all back in there. And this, so our beans have been cooking about 1.5 hours, maybe a little more, but until they're tender. And you can see how nice and creamy that broth is. And I found one potato I didn't cut up quite right, but you can see how the potatoes, some of them have really broke down. And then there's a few in there that haven't. I'm gonna go ahead and take out this bay leaf. I know there's another one in there somewhere if I stir it around. I think most people know by now not to eat it. I think it's done its job. It smells wonderful. And I did taste it, and I did come back and add probably another teaspoon of salt and another round of good ground black pepper to it. I really felt like it needed a little extra, but you'll need to taste yours and see what you need to add to it. It's nice and creamy, so this bean soup is ready to eat. And see how our big unveiling is, and it's very hot. Be careful. Look at the steam come. Oh my goodness. Now see how it's all fell apart on the top, where you can just pull it apart. Look at that. That's what you want. You just pull apart like that. And then you can add it to your bowl, or put it on the side, or just put it on your cornbread. So that is ready to go. And that looks wonderful. So let's get a bowl of soup. Okay. So now I have a nice big giant piece of ham here. I'm gonna cut it up. I'm gonna take the skin off, a little bit of skin off of it, just because I don't like the skin. And I'm gonna get me some nice big pieces of ham. There we go. Have to move this aside. Now I'm gonna get me some big chunks of ham. Put it down in my bowl. Yeah, that looks really good. I'm gonna get me some soup. There we go, right on top of the ham. I don't want any baby. Oh, Scarlett's like, I'm ready for bean soup. There we go. And there you have it with your cornbread right there. How could you go wrong with that? That looks so yummy. Give me a bite. Oh yeah. Let's start the new year off right with some bean soup, black-eyed peas included, as you can see right there, and have some fresh made cornbread with a little ham. You can do this. Enjoy. See you next week.